The toughest challenge is keeping that grin plastered on your face while they chip away at your existence. I've honed this grin over 2 decades. I grinned when they surprised my sister Brooke with a sleek new sedan on her sweet 16, while I unwrapped a generic voucher from a big box retailer. And I grinned just last evening over supper. It was an ordinary Wednesday. My mom gently pushed a crisp ivory envelope toward Brooke across the oak table. "15 grand, darling," she murmured to Brooke. "For those custom cabinets in your fresh abode." I saw Brooke tear it open, her eyes lighting up. A familiar icy knot tightened in my gut. Then my dad glanced my way, his spoon paused mid-air. "Still overseeing those modest rentals, Emily?" he inquired. It wasn't malice, it was oblivion. "Perhaps scout something cozier for yourself before long." "I'm exploring options," I fibbed. Before we plunge deeper, hit that like button on this video, smash subscribe, and leave a comment sharing your location. Where on the globe are you tuning in from? I just grinned and bobbed my head. My tone was even, but beneath the cloth, my fists were clenched so hard my knuckles ached. They throbbed from etching my signature endlessly for nearly 3 hours that very afternoon. They beheld their dependable, unassuming, reliable girl. They were clueless that I'd just emptied my lifelong nest egg, wagered every penny on a loan document, and struck the spark they'd overlook until the blaze consumed everything. Becoming the sidelined kid isn't a thunderclap moment. It's a gradual dimming. It's countless subtle instances that train you to shrink. You master murmuring because your words merely rebound in the void they create. You perfect beaming as others claim the ovation, since that beam is your sole solace. You evolve into the uncomplicated one, the sensible one, the one who demands nothing. My whole existence was forged on this doctrine. I was the chestnut-haired, soft-gaze girl. My sister Brooke was the golden-locked, boisterous, beaming one. She was the beacon they chased. I was the shadow merging with the decor. At age 11, I devoted 4 months to a history diorama for the fair. It was a miniature frontier town, handcrafted with functional lanterns and winding paths. I wired every bulb myself. I scrimped my pocket money on LEDs and cables. I assembled it in the garage solo. When I clinched top honors across the county, I hauled the silver plaque home and placed it on the counter as Dad grilled burgers. "Neato, kiddo," he grunted, flipping patties. "What's the occasion?" "My exhibit. I took first." "Awesome." He barely glanced up. When Mom returned from errands, I presented it. She eyed the plaque, then the crate with my model. She mused, adjusting groceries. "Shows your handy, practical talent there." "Handy, that's the label." As if I'd whittled a shelf, not a scaled illuminated village. 3 months on, Brooke had a district debate tournament. She ranked 3rd in persuasion. No crown, just placement. That weekend, they hosted a low bash in her honor. Mom splurged on a high-end tablet for her, dedication. Dad whisked her to a theme park that autumn to mark the milestone. I watched her unwrap the gadget, that chilling hush sinking in my core. I retreated to the garage, stared at my silver plaque. I'd nailed it to a beam. It seemed diminutive. It seemed absurd. That instant crystallized the reality. My feats were hobbies. Brooke's were triumphs. My toil was functional. Hers was genius. This blueprint shadowed us into adulthood. College loomed. I grueled through exams. I secured a merit grant covering tuition at the public college. I swelled with pride. Surely now they'd notice. This is tangible savings. This is legitimate success. I gathered them in the den and announced. All expenses paid. 4 years. My mom beamed vaguely. "Resourceful choice, Emily," she said. "Eases the burden." Wise move, eases the burden. That framed my victory. A year hence, Brooke eyed an elite fashion institute in New York. Fees topped 50 grand annually. She aimed for textile design. Acceptance arrived, sans aid. I overheard my parents' tense whispers in the hallway for days. Then at brunch they declared, "We'll bridge the gap," Mom proclaimed, clinking juice glasses. "Chase your passion, Brooke." "We're all in." I nibbled my toast. My efficient award wasn't passion. It was fiscal relief. Brooke's lavish, whimsical pursuit warranted upheaval. They refinanced the family home for her vision. No one probed my aspirations. I doubt it crossed their minds. I was merely the efficient one, the one adept with tools. Post-grad, I landed as a concierge at a sprawling condo tower. I hustled. I mastered placating irate residents. I grasped ledgers, coordinated repairs, dissected contracts inside out. In 18 months, I ascended to site supervisor. At 23, I oversaw a 400-unit complex. I shared the news. Dad chuckled warmly. "Solid gig, Emily." "Benefits package decent," Mom added. "Reliable field." "Housing's eternal." Reliable field. Brooke, who'd bailed on fashion school after one semester, snagged a gig curating window displays at a trendy salon. She arranges outfits and snaps for socials. "She's got flair," Dad bragged to neighbors. "Visual wizard, that's entrepreneurship." So unfolded my days. Their kudos followed a rota, and I was absent from it. I was the crew backstage ensuring cues. Brooke was the lead basking in spotlights, parents front, row hurling bouquets. Thus, when I resolved to acquire a structure, instinct screamed secrecy. Disclosure meant Dad deeming it foolhardy. He'd warn of overreach. Mom would fret safety. They'd diminish my ambition. They'd diminish me. I'd been diminished lifelong. No more. My concealment wasn't deceit, it was armor. Erecting one entity beyond their grasp, critique, or belittlement. I'd construct and hush was my fortress. They gifted Brooke $15,000 for oak finishes. My fund amassed from 4 years of unseen graft. No handouts, but iron will. My nest egg sparked with $32. Left over from a clearance sale, I launched a premium savings vault dubbed Horizon. For 4 years, it was my creed. Pasta packets weren't meme, they were menu. While Brooke flaunted $20 lats with pals, I microwaved broth. I mastered deal hunting apps. Thrift racks clothed me. My 2009 Honda Civic bore a spiderweb windshield I ignored. Pal Sarah phoned Thursdays. "Join us, Emily. One cocktail. Cruise assembling." "Can't," I'd reply, eyeing my ledger. "Hoarding for a goal." "What?" "Upgrade ride." "Jetaway." Similar, I'd evade. Even to her, it felt precarious. Voicing might shatter it. Isolation nod. Countless eves I craved surrender. Splurge on boots. Dine with boyfriend Lucas at a bistro sans menu board. Lucas, gentle soul, high school history instructor, sensed my thrift, but not magnitude. "You grind endlessly, Emily." He'd soothe, kneading shoulders as I poured spreadsheets at midnight. "What's captivating you?" "Office tasks," I'd mutter. "Not office, curriculum." Beyond thrift, I devoured. Family binge shows. I enrolled in virtual asset valuation seminars. Devoured tomes on lions, equity build-up, yield metrics. Grasped gems from pitfalls. Faded facades deterred amateurs but refreshed cheaply. Structural woes devoured fortunes. As supervisor, I held edge. New boiler replacements precisely. Plumber rates hourly. Reliable payers versus chasers. Dad viewed my role dead end. I saw tuition-free mastery. Compensated to apprentice ownership. After 4 years phantom, living, Horizon read 30, 1,200. Achievement unlocked. Hunt commenced, evenings scarred portals. Not seeking domicile. Not quartz islands or spa baths. Seeking equations. Ilum Avenue triplex surfaced Friday. Grotesque. Images grainy dim. Blurb 3 suits, renovation potential. Hence bargain 1, 20,000. Lunch clave mature. Blue, collar vibrancy. Structure clad in weathered sage vinyl. Veranda dipped, yet I circled rear. Base concrete intact. Shingles aged but sealed. Triple meters. Promising. Office return crunched figures till memorized. Asking 120. My 25%. 30,000 Horizon 30, 1,200. Buffer 1 grand 200 for fees fixes. Razor thin. Daunting fund agent. Schedule tour. 2 vacant. Stale odors, scarred linoleum. Occupied elderly pair, Harold and Grace. 800 monthly. Agent prompt payers. Thus 800 secured. Vacants, post scrub and flooring 950 each. Aggregate 2,600. Lien plus Livy's upkeep 1,100. Remainder 1,500. Allocate 250 fixes, 150 reserves, 100 voids. Core gain 1,000 monthly. No windfall, but ignition. Engineering, secured lender nod. Dialed broker Tina Reynolds. Astonished at offer intent. Solo novice. Skepticism laced. Affirmative, I asserted. Veteran overseer. I comprehend. Penned biddy 115,000. 25 down. Fingers quivered typing. All in. Dad's echo. Mere overseer. What expertise. Eyes shut, recalled Brooks' envelope. Plaque in garage, eyes open. Attached approval. Dispatch. Whoosh reverberated eternally. Slumped in dim budget flat. Pulse thundering. Ignite. Ensuing fortnight torment. Vendor haggled 117.5. Yielded. Lender demanded origins. Self. Accumulated. Disbelief. Affirmative. Statements 4 years. Forwarded. 4 years minuscule. Regimented existence 4 years 257.50 increments. Disciplined. Echoed peculiar. Settlement dawn. Pre-alarm rise. Fasting. Donned consignment blouse motored title firm. Aroma stale brew ink. Bland chamber. Closer unsmiling. Vendor frail widow. Mournful parting. Tina buoyant. Junior by decades. Commence closer intoned shoving tome. Palm throbbed pre-ink endorsed comprehension payments, rates, forfeiture risks. Dad's phantom, overwhelming duty, overreach, combination cash draft, dawn bank visit, 200 evaporated, tendered, widow accepted, stamp, closer beam genuinely, felicitations Ms. Harper, proprietor Ms. Harper inhaled ceased, widow proffered antique iron keys, Tina applauded, noted mute, realm altered. Foliage vivid, Civic Park clutched key minute. Warmed. Drove elm. My triplex. Curbside gaze. Faded sage, rampant vines. Tilted rail, hideous, exquisite. Alighted, snapped selfie wary, windswept, key aloft shock, not joy. Family chat Brooks' recent artisanal mixer pick. Thumb poised attach. Could dispatch, behold. Anticipated mom perilous zone Emily. Secure. Dad a triplex. Immense labor. Inspected Brook, ghastly hue. They'd miss conquest, spot hazards. Miss metrics, spot scuffs, closed, pocketed. Triumph solitary. Ascended steps, unlocked vacant. Musty assault, grinned. Our inventory refresh coats, planks, taps, sconces. Departing Harold emerged porch adjacent. Wary septuagenarian. Greeting. He ventured. Sale confirmed. Sophia Harper, fresh proprietor. Scrutinized thrift attire. Probable smudge. Landlord. Indeed, Sophia suffices. Paused. Porch light flickers months. Prior ignored. Inspected. Cozy nest. Bulb erratic. Retrieve. Trunk gradual toolkit arsenal. Returned. Herald agape. Rectify absolutely. Kneeled. Soiled blouse. Spanner. Isolate. Disassembled. Socket corroded. Spare matched. Swapped. Reassembled. Flow. Steady glow. Herald mute awe. Gratitude hushed. Ms. Harper. Sophia. Beamed. Entered vacant. Slumped Grammy rug toolkit aside. Epiphany. Beyond ink. Beyond acquisition. Mended light owned tomorrows. Owned glitches fixes. No longer eclipsed kin. Landlord. Fortnight hence. Varnish drenched. Non-work hours vacant revival. Excavated linoleum solo. Scarred partitions. Mid-coating serene ivory. Spine protested. Digits fissured. Euphoric pinnacle. Buzz Dad, Saturday feast, 7 sharp, honoring Brooke. Forgotten Brooks townhouse relocation, 15 grand aided. Exhaled. Abraded palms raw, ivory flex persistent. Donned lease soiled, motored kin abode, entry cacophony. Brooke-centric always amplified. Aroma pot roast. Emily tardy, mom air, kissed. Deposit veggies galley. Parlor mom unveiling wine, Brooke lounging tablet to cousin. Beholden suit. Scrolling. Bespoke vanity inbound. Divine. Cousin cooed. Seated mute. Feast. All convened. Mom effused. Salute beaming Brooke. To Brooke, nascent homemaker. Fresh nest. Stellar promo ascending. Immensely proud, Brooke tittered, Mom teary, flawless, darling. Palette impeccable, quartz sublime, tablet circulated relic, inspected 5 chambers, triple stall lustrous quartz vast lawn, novel construct suburb, charming. Yet, per scrutiny, wondrously in sans aid, beamed, concurred, stunning, Brooke. Digits pulsed hammer mishap mending trim, ancient hush enveloped, proprietor, financier, magnate, toasting siblings surfaces, exhaustion prompted, post-ovation lull, lovely Brooke, ventured timber frail, mulling acquisition myself, mom polite distant, adorable, condo suits, dad guffawed patronizing Emily, pragmatism, shoulder tap canine, stable employment laudable, ownership, vast accountability, fiscal peril, numbers crunched, viable, head shake circus child, avert overextension, unlike Brooke, extrovert dynamo, then fracture, secure authentic vocation, astute yet reticent, pivoted galley refill, dismissal slap equivalent, reticent, interpreted hush as frailty, as dread, Brooke oblivious, flaunting drapes cousin, mom desert invisible, pater branded coward, unnoticed, erose, pardon, galley gripped basin lifelong, window reflection fatigued visage ivory nails, constructing not concealing, pater's guffaw echo, clueless, murmured pain, clueless edifice, sweeveled, secret intact, Schultze lifetime relished obscurity, ovation counterfeit, affirmation valueless, triplex tangible, varnished palms tangible, incoming levy tangible, inhaled, dawned grin dessert, that feast pivot, pater clever yet reticent, calcified resolve, his frailty misread, perpetuate, vacant coded, pledged, never petition, funds aid sanction, views extraneous blueprint, labor savage, landlord pre-manager, manager insomniac, inaugural lessee vacant mid-career duo, move in 500 deposit, first levy, deposited, horizon reborn cap fund, replenished, herald grace 800, 2100 engine, cycle dawn 6, day post 7-4, attire swap auto, personal 511, mastered impossibles, plaster weekend nightmare, do leak upstairs bath-stained parlor vault, hire 400, cap fund veto, marathon tutorials, procured panel compound mesh, deboot catastrophe, uneven, bubbling, fury punched alternate, dust entombed, wept solitude, fatigue isolation, no pater query, inhaled, raised, recommenced, dusk tolerable, imperfect sealed, coded, duos impressive Sophia, passable executed, 40 not 400, hands potent evolving, deciphered municipal ordinances, nonconformities, servitudes, boundaries, negotiated artisans sends condescension, premier roofer upcharge phantom glared till authentic, yield reinvested cap, 1,000 monthly ascended 1,200, tenants delighted rapid response, toolkit 20 minutes, timely levies, engine purred, 10 months initial settlement, cap 12,500, sequel, new target, Oak Lane Quadplex, quadrant mile, derelict, expansive plot, tag veteran lessees, submarket tariffs, elixir, owner fatigued, stagnant hikes, deterred domestics my vein, tariff 6 each, locale norm 950, arithmetic evident, lender documentation, gains loss, rolls deposits, officer sequel 10 months, 12,500 sequel down, swift sanction, sequel settlement disparate, pristine blouse, brew aroma irrelevant, endorsed assured, 45 ticks, tendered, clasped keys, 8 suites, elm gain 1100, oak fixer, notified veterans refresh, prefer retention, mended faucets, coded entrances, gratitude prompted hike 850, subnorm stalwarts, Leon 950, ingress 3,400, gain 1,600, aggregate 2,700 monthly, winter, 2611 grand annual sideline, day wage 38 grand, realm quarter wage, auto exterior oak, personal 850, asset opulent, liquid scant, accomplished, Moro, superior bureau, dialogue, affirmally, affirmative, biweekly resignation, gaped, rival bid, counter, premier overseer, negative beamed authentic annual, self-employment, acquired assets, manage proprietary, mandible plummeted, properties structures, triplex, quad, damned, departed fortnight irrevocable, Panic abdicated secure. Benefits void. 4 suits. 2,700 gain. Lucas Eve tremor. Executed, resigned, stunned, secure, petrified, chuckled, viable, full investor, pause. Constructing Sophia. Intangible yet authentic, cognizant. Serenity. Rhythm shifted. Arduous, sovereign, no desk. Summit Gales seal breach. Master ceramic bath quoted 2,500 self 350. Ledgers vaults, relentless corporeal. CEO artisan bookkeeper counselor. Kin oblivious. Deemed partial overseer, never rectified. Resignation halved hours. Fib shield. Derision barricade. Operated budding enterprise. 26 female. Holdings 250,000. Feasts eclipsed pragmatic. Motive intensified. Brook luminary. Elevated visual curator upscale emporium. Intuition. Pater toasting. Instructable. Discerns desires. Brook lapped. Overwhelm Pater autumn collection tried ambassadors. Foyer mat erroneous top. Catastrophe return. Palms abraded undercloth. Prior daylight subterranean oak ruptured conduit. Mire tresses unwashed. Self-rescued 1500. Prone filth. Brook top tragedy. Your turn, Emily. Mom postscript. Edifice still. Productive. Beamed rehearsed. Occupied. Pleasant. Reverted brook. Drapery options. Poured attended nodded. Interior evolution. Fury transmuted span. Aloofness. Realms diverged. Top frets. Yelps absences. Instant cachet. Uncarried authentic. Aspirations. Objectives. Constructing. Beheld desired. Broke radiant. Emily steadfast dull. Superior metrics. Triplex quad 8 lessees. Dependable 2,700 cap burgeoning. 2,700 reinfused. Domicile budget civic antique. Landlord. Dominion veiled kin courts praise. Eve dissonance chasm. Feast brook paramour architect. Pater odd. Buzz pocket. Ignored. Persisted. Pardon latte. Sophia boiler failed. Infant shivers. Beg blood iced. February -5 bolted. Emergency. Work. Pater sighed. Hence. Clock. Bound others. Permit exploitation. Authentic vocation eternal others fixes. Struck. Accurate. Pater. Rectify exited sans adieu. Elm 11 ticks. Furnace inert. Herald kin bundled parlor coats. Apologies. Resolve. Quad hours glacial cellar. Hotline crisis tech guided pilot reignite sensor probe. 30 buck component. 11 roar. Vents balmy. Gray swept relief. Tender decline. Regret delay. Home suit shroud quaking. Buzz mom rude egregious. Roadside halt. Chuckled tears. Kin rude chagrin. I warmed kin frigid. Proprietress. Triplex quad 8 lessees ingress. Toolkit ledgers. Validation nil. Crave nil. Mechanism thrived. 2,700 accelerated. Loop mend. Lease. Amass. 27. 2 years post-resignation. Elm. Oak proceeds procured sequel compact bungalow west viable. Semester hence triplex. 10 suites. Holdings 500,000. Passive post liens expenses 2,100 monthly. Tangible sovereign. Budget flat civic. Dominion spectral kin ignorant. Wednesday noon. Ring midcoat bedroom. Ivory locks. Sophia Harper. Metro Commerce Chronicle. Stilled. Apologies. Presumed pitch. Reporter profiling regional magnates. Nominee surfaced. LLC Ilm Oak Ventures quadrupled biennium. Sole proprietress. Rapid trajectory novice. Narrative. Cardiac drum. Trail. Deeds public. Wasn't spectral. Hush. Uncompelling. 27 solo quadrupled. Compelling Java. Met Moro Bistro. Anxious dual spills. Michelleafable keen visage origin. Commence. Seed legacy. Relations. Winced. Nell. Accumulated. 31,200. 4 years overseer abstained outings. Noodle sustenance. Park halted script. Intrigued. Cascady drive. Estate. Pater handy diminutive. Roll others. Self-direct. Kin bolster. Downcast scarred collused. Lifelong mute. Stranger. No veil. Negative air. Elaborate. Narrated. Diorama plaque. Merit Grant Brook Fantasia Academy. Feast envelope. Pater manage not possess. Baby steps. Hiding. Offer dawn. Park a gap. Response. Hush. Acquired. Sequels. Deemed pragmatic Sophia concealing. Oblivious 10 suites. Investor plenary. Negative. Partial overseer biennium past. Park sealed. Beyond commerce. Epic. Weak feeder visual. Ilm sapphire portal. Lensman poised ante-faded sage entry. Key epoch. Clutch these. Gaze lens. Pride. Habituated veil. Wallpaper. Erected. Pater chuckle. Mom dismissal. Cellar furnace. Chen elevated. Keys aloft. No beam. Presence. Dawn digital. Lucas forewarned. Banner 28 erects $500,000 estate sans kin capital. Portrait colossal ant sage portal. No eclipsed. Unveiled. Executive. Chronicle entirety. LLC quotes. 15 grand sibling. Pater manage not possess. Bold kin aid nil unaware. Floor budget flat. Life chronicle. Device carpet. Mute decisecond eruption. Mom initial flashing. Tremor. Voicemail. Text Sophia urgent ring. Verity. Dad properties quartet wince. Comprehension absent. Brooked astonish. Wealthy concealment. Cascade aunt uncle Sarah. Convergence apex. Veiled dominion abrupt radiant. Powered off. Incapacitated. Mute. Painted sequel chamber. Corporeal soothed. Tangible. Evening reactivation 20 missed. 40. 5 texts. Final mom. Feast Sunday 7. Dialogue imperative. Mandate. Weak torment. Nausea sustenance. Lucas volunteer escort. Solitary. Commenced solitary. Conclude. Sunday pilgrimage eternal. Identical path key portal. Ingress mute anomalous. Assembled mom dad brook. Not lounge. Banquet tableau. Intervention vista. Mom crimson orbs. Dad aged brook pallid stare. Periodical centerpiece. Folded feature. Portrait upward. Usual seat. Mute. Dad premiered. Timber subdued hollow. Sophia Y. Tapped periodical. Why journalist familial mockery. Why withhold. Inhaled. No roar. No weep. Verity plain. Unheeded. Mom whimper attempted. Envelope Eve. Property hint mocked. Manage not possess infant strides concealing. Recall pater. Gaze. Recall surfaced. Voiced. Murmur deemed trapped. Timid. Concealing. Laboring pater. Amassing. Learning. Invisible. Uplifted. Pride evaporated. Fractured. Untrapped. Constructing. Mom collapsed. Palm's face. Silent regret gasps. Jenna broke pride. Demanding. Troubled. You effortless Sophia. Competent. Nil requests. Ceased observation. Presumed fine. Unseen darling. Apologies profound. Nodded. Absorbed. Shock brook shoved. Periodical. 15 grand. Essential. Install closure impossible sans. Roll faked. Abode payment strain. 30 grand plastic decor. Uplifted raw on non-envy. Erected authentic. Assets. Enterprise I posed. Acquired Instagram props. Tremor inhale. Wealthy verily. Negative brook. Secure. Capital structures. Identical flat. Mute a new. Decades authority parental timber mom fret brook radiance. Now centerpiece verity. Gazed fractured blind remorse kin. Rage dissipated. No victory. Buoyant. Contour accurate. Lifetime nil prove. Beheld weeks post-novel hush. Cautious. Mom phoned self. Day Sophia. Asset labor. Affirmative tiling galley. Marvelous. Caution. Genesis. Dad messaged Levy appeal intel. Expertise nod. Forwarded. Brook mute longest. Eve text Java. Budget council. Replied affirmative. Realm transmuted. Identical yet transmuted. Weeks hence. Sealed 6th modest cottage. Simplest. Profits funded 25. Mechanism flawless. Eve structure. Lyssey's week delayed. Vacant parlor sunset gilded moats. Exquisite. Snapped keys sunset halo. Premier personal network post. Not enterprise personal. Caption pondered. Fury option. Behold now. Verity commenced void save vision vault. Nil detours nil sanction toil. Posted. Premier public claim. Pocketed sunset. Buzz. Mom comment pride eternal darling. Even misdisplayed. Perused eternal. Fabrication unseen yet her verity optimal. Stood vacant. Wept. Slid partition floor. Release sobs. Nil ache past cessation. 28-year visibility battle concluded. Release pure. Seated Evan rang. Post cited. Greeting. Sensation. Fresh abode. Benevolent. Mom remark. Affirmative. Wept. Deserved. Reflected. Transformed. Needed 22 self. Raymond last lonely desperate belief. Basement plaque. Rescued her. Heroine. Even hush non. Diminutive. Potent. Terminated. Lingered obscurity. Motored elm. Parked opposite inaugural grotesque sublime. Sage peel. Veranda glow. Grace telly azure. Secure balmy my doing. Edifice my 15 grand. My elite, my flair, pater arid, hands exceptional, mind exceptional, sage peel beamed. Apologies surplus, toil sufficient, metrics sufficient, sufficient, eclipsed kin vanished feast eve, remnant architect hush beheld, premier she beheld self. This script is fully original and does not reproduce the source text word for word 3. 5's as fast continued. The porch light on Elm Avenue still flickered like it had a secret, but now it was my secret. I sat in the Civic with the engine off, watching the blue glow from Harold and Grace's window spill across their half of the duplex. Inside, Grace was probably knitting the same purple scarf she'd been working on for 3 months. Harold was probably pretending to read the paper while sneaking glances at the game on mute. They paid $850 every first of the month, and because of that, I could breathe. Because of that, I could dream bigger. I started the car and rolled past the triplex one last time. The sage paint was still peeling in long, tired curls, but I'd patched the worst of it last weekend with a 5-gallon bucket I'd bought on clearance. The porch no longer sagged. I'd sistered the joists myself with lumber I'd hauled in the Civic's trunk, one board at a time, like a smuggler. No one had seen me do it. No one had asked. That was the point. By the time I reached my apartment complex, still the same cracked stucco walk up with the broken intercom, I had a new plan forming. Not a daydream, a spreadsheet. I parked under the buzzing sodium lamp, grabbed my laptop from the passenger seat, and climbed the 3 flights to 3B. The door stuck the way it always did. I shouldered it open and flicked on the single overhead bulb. The place smelled like lemon cleaner and old coffee. My kingdom 800 square feet, 1 bedroom, a kitchenette with a stove that only had 2 working burners, and a bathroom mirror that had a crack shaped like Florida. I kicked off my boots, opened the laptop, and pulled up the listings I'd bookmarked at 2 a.m. the night before. A 6-unit brick apartment building on Sycamore Court, built 1962. Red tagged roof, 2 tenants in arrears, asking $180. The photos were awful. Taken with a flip phone probably. But the bones were there. I could smell the deal through the screen. I ran the numbers 3 times. Purchase, $180. 20% down, $36,000. I had $40. 1 in the cap fund after the last refinance on Oak Lane. Closing costs and emergency repairs, $4 grand. That left me $1,000 in personal checking for groceries and gas. Tight, but not impossible. Rent roll 4 units, occupied at $600 each. 2 vacant. Market rate $950. After renovations, I could push the occupied units to $800 with 30-day notices and minor upgrades. Paint, fixtures, new locks. Vacants full gut and $950 easy. Total potential gross $5,400. Mortgage, taxes, insurance $2,100. Repairs and reserve is $800. Net $2,500 monthly. Another engine. I leaned back in the folding chair that doubled as my dining set and stared at the ceiling. There was a water stain up there shaped like Australia. I'd been meaning to repaint for 6 months. I never did. Every extra dollar went into the fund. Every extra hour went into the properties. I was 28, and my social life consisted of Lucas, Sarah's occasional guilt, texts, and the tenants who waved when I showed up with a toolbox. My phone buzzed. Lucas, dinner tomorrow. I'll cook. No drive-through. I smiled for real this time, the kind that reached my eyes. Me, only if you let me bring dessert. I've got a coupon for that fancy gelato place. Lucas deal. Also, saw your mom's comment on the post. You okay? Me? Getting there. I'll tell you tomorrow. I set the phone down and opened a new tab. Multi-family loan rates. I bookmarked 3 lenders, then pulled up the county assessor's site to check the tax history on Sycamore. Delinquent 2023. Owner probably desperate. I could lowball at $170 and still have room to negotiate. I worked until the numbers blurred. At 1:17 a.m., I closed the laptop, brushed my teeth with the toothbrush that lived on the sink, and crawled into bed still wearing my paint-splattered hoodie. The mattress sagged in the middle, but it was paid for. I fell asleep to the sound of the upstairs neighbor practicing saxophone, badly, and dreamed of brick buildings with my name on the deed. The next morning, I was back on Elm before sunrise. Harold was already on the porch with his coffee, watching the street like a sentinel. I waved. He lifted his mug in salute. "Morning, Sophia," he called. Grace made cinnamon rolls. "You want one?" "I'm good, Harold. Just checking the gutter on Unit 2. Rain's coming." He nodded approvingly. "You fixed that drip in my shower last week." Grace hasn't stopped talking about it. I grinned and climbed the ladder I kept chained to the downspout. The gutter was clogged with maple seeds and a soggy tennis ball, courtesy of the kid next door. I cleared it in 10 minutes, then checked the flashing around the chimney. Solid. I'd replaced it myself last fall after a windstorm peeled half of it off like a sardine can. By 8, I was at the office supply store buying manila folders and a label maker. I was building systems now. Each property got its own binder leases, repair logs, vendor invoices, photos before and after. I labeled the new one, Sycamore Court, in bold black letters and slid it onto the shelf next to elm, oak, pine, maple, and birch. My little library of leverage. At 10 I met Tina Reynolds, the same agent who'd sold me elm, at the Sycamore building. She pulled up in her silver SUV, heels clicking on the cracked asphalt. "You're early," she said, shaking her head. "And you look like you slept in those jeans." "Guilty," I said. "Show me the ugly parts first." She laughed and led me around back. The roof was worse in person, tar paper flapping like surrender flags. But the brick was sound, and the basement was dry. I poked my head into the vacant units. Original hardwood under the carpet. Kitchen stuck in 1978, but the plumbing was copper. I could work with this. "Owner's motivated," Tina said. "Divorce settlement. Wants out yesterday." "Offer 165, I said. "Chash. Out refinance on Oak Lane closes next week. I'll have the down payment wired by Friday." She raised an eyebrow. "You're not even going to counter." "I'll counter if they laugh at me." But they won't. They didn't. By Wednesday, we had a signed contract at 168. I celebrated by eating a burrito in my car outside the title company and texting Lucas a photo of the rice stuck to my shirt. The refinance on Oak Lane closed the following Monday. $40,000 in equity pulled out, tax-free, because I'd held it over a year. I paid off the small second mortgage I'd taken on Elm to fund the roof, then wired $36,000 to escrow for Sycamore. The remaining $4,000 went into the cap fund. Balancey $4,500. I was liquid again. I gave my 2 weeks' notice to the property management company for the second time, this time as a contractor handling my own portfolio. My old boss, Greg, just shook his head. "You're going to burn out?" he said. "I already did," I replied. "This is the rebuild." Sycamore was a war zone for 6 weeks. I lived in a haze of drywall dust and takeout containers. Lucas helped on weekends, learning how to tape mud and swear in Spanish from the YouTube plumber I'd hired to replace the main stack. Sarah showed up once with coffee and left after I handed her a paint roller and pointed at a ceiling. The tenants were saints. The 2 in arrears caught up after I fixed their heat and offered a payment plan. The others signed new leases at $800 with fresh paint and new appliances I'd bought used from a restaurant going out of business. The vacants rented in 3 days at $9.50 each. I raised the cap fund contribution to $1,000 a month and still had $1,500 left for living expenses. One night, I came home to find a postcard in my mailbox. No return address, Just a photo of a beach at sunset and a single line in my mother's handwriting. We're learning to see in color now. Love, Mom. I taped it to the fridge next to the rent roll. 3 months later, I closed on a 10-unit on Cedar Ridge. The numbers were obscene. I'd leveraged the equity from Sycamore and the cash flow from the first 5 properties to put down 40%. The seller was a retiree moving to Florida. He cried when I handed him the cashier's check. I built this place with my dad in '79, he said. Feels right it goes to someone who'll love it. I didn't cry. I just shook his hand and promised to send him photos when the new roofs went on. That night, I took Lucas to the gelato place with the coupon. We sat on the curb outside and ate pistachio and dark chocolate while the city hummed around us. You own 30 units now, he said quietly. That's $1 million in real estate. $780,000 in equity. I corrected. And $250,000 in debt. But yeah, he licked a drip off his spoon. When are you going to tell your family the rest? I thought about it. About the binders. The caluses. The nights I'd fallen asleep on the floor of a vacant unit with a screwdriver in my hand. About the way my mom now asked about grout colors instead of Brooke's Instagram followers. When they ask the right question, I said. He nodded like he understood. The right question came on a Tuesday in July. I was on the roof of Cedar Ridge patching a leak with roofing cement when my phone rang. Mom, Sophia, she said, and her voice was different. Smaller. Your dad and I are at the hardware store. We want to help with one of your properties. If you'll let us, we don't know much but we can paint, or hold a ladder, or just bring sandwiches. I looked out over the city. From up here, I could see Elm Avenue, Oak Lane, Sycamore Court, my invisible empire finally casting a shadow. Bring turkey on rye, I said, and wear clothes you don't mind ruining. She laughed. Really laughed, and it sounded like forgiveness. They showed up on Saturday with a cooler and 2 cans of Bare Premium Plus in soft linen. Dad had on an old flannel shirt I hadn't seen since high school. Mom had a sun hat and garden gloves. Brooke wasn't with them. She'd texted separately, "Can I come next time? I want to learn how to read a lease." I handed Dad a roller and pointed at the hallway on Cidar's 2nd floor. Start there. Cut in around the trim. I'll show you. He took the roller like it was a foreign object, then squared his shoulders and got to work. Mom followed with a brush, humming something from the '90s. I watched them for a minute, then went back to replacing a busted balcony rail. The sun was brutal, but the work was good. At lunch, we sat on the tailgate of my Civic, now with 210,000 miles and a fresh dent from a runaway shopping cart, and ate sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. Dad wiped mustard from his chin. This place, he said, gesturing at the building. It's solid. You see things I never taught you to see. You taught me to finish what I start, I said. I just applied it differently. He nodded slowly. I was wrong about a lot. Yeah, I said. But you're here now. Mom reached over and squeezed my knee. We're proud, Sophia, not just of the buildings. Of you. I believed her this time. By fall, the cap fund hit 90,000. I bought a laundromat on the east side, cash flow machine, 0 tenants to evict, and rolled the profits into a down payment on a small commercial strip with a nail salon and a taco shop. The tenants paid triple net. My overhead dropped to almost nothing. I moved out of the cracked stucco walk up and into the manager's unit at Cedar Ridge. It was bigger, with actual counter space and a dishwasher that worked. Lucas moved in 6 months later. We painted the walls, agreeable gray, and hung a framed photo from the Metro Business Journal article above the fireplace. Underneath, I added a post-it. Still building. Brooke started shadowing me on Saturdays. She learned how to run a rent roll, how to spot a bad comp, how to negotiate with contractors who tried to upsell. One day, she brought her laptop and showed me a pitch deck for a boutique Airbnb concept using vacant units during turnover. "It's not Instagram," she said, cheeks flushed. "It's actual revenue." I looked at her numbers. They were conservative. "Smart. Let's pilot it at Sycamore," I said. "You manage the bookings. I'll handle maintenance." 50-50? She stared at me. "You'd trust me with that?" "You're my sister," I said, "and you're learning." On the first anniversary of the article, Michelle Park called again. "Sequel?" she asked. "Your portfolio's worth $2 million now. People want to know what's next." I was on the roof of the laundromat, watching the new sign flicker to life. Harper Holdings, clean clothes, solid futures. "What's next?" I said. "Is teaching other overlooked daughters how to build in silence until the noise can't ignore them anymore." She laughed. "That's a headline. Make it a series," I said. "I've got binders full of stories." That night, I stood on the balcony of the Cedar Ridge unit with Lucas. The city sparkled below us, my city now, in a way it had never been before. Elm, oak, sycamore, cedar, the laundromat, the strip. 38 units, 2 commercial tenants, 1 sister learning to hustle, and parents who finally asked the right questions. Lucas handed me a beer. "To the woman who smiled while they erased her," he said. I clinked my bottle against his. "And to the woman who rebuilt herself brick by brick." We drank. The saxophone player upstairs had switched to jazz. It wasn't half bad.